do you picture people outside of Web3 are interested in AI to this degree?
Actually, the majority of our users are Web 2. Web 3 will only come in when we launch with Axie Infinity, and then eventually when we launch with Pudgy Penguins in a couple of months, that'll also bring in a huge bunch of Web 3 people. The way I actually look at it is it's to balance our token and to ensure that our economy is sustainable. It needs to balance Web 3 people and Web 2 people, because the like Web 3 users tend to have different economic benefits and disbenefits than Web 2 people. And so to ensure that balance of the two, I actually move the needle based on the IP that I launch, right? So if I see that there's too many Web 3 people coming on board and they, in a sense, extracting value from a financial perspective from the ecosystem, I launch more Web 2 IP, let's say Paddington Bear, and that blows up that Web 2 side. Web 2 people are great to monetize from, right? They're just straight up spenders. They don't expect financial return in back. And so that helps the ecosystem there.
So Max, like I've got a question then, because you mentioned the token. If I'm guessing now. So if I'm like an outsider seeing this for the first time, I'm going to see some of that IP. I'm going to, I think like the utility is going to be an easy sell. They're going to connect with it right away. Sure, yeah, I'd love to try that out. I'd install it right now. I don't think there's going to be a tough lift there. But the question is, like, from a crypto perspective, like, how does the token play in? Like, what? Yeah, like, see. This, would take some time to dissect and make sense of. But it's like, okay, yeah, I believe in this. Now, how do I get the token? Where is it? Where are they at? Like, what are the dumbed down for me, like, easy answers to those questions?
Yeah, so I think the token model is very similar to something like Virtual's protocol or Pump.fun. We've taken essentially the elements that work that we've seen demonstrated by those different businesses and applied that to Kindred, but in a way that allows for, I guess, a more sustainable approach to why users are actually using it. With the token itself, essentially, to kind of give you the rundown, each time an IP character collection is launched, right, it needs to purchase, let's call it a parking slot, right? For now. They're called a different name, but a parking slot, right? So that parking slot has the ability to write and create a character, right? This is also on our side. So for example, when we launch Hello Kitty, we also have to purchase one of these parking slots, right, to represent Hello Kitty. That Hello Kitty now can then be, essentially creates its own token, right? Its own liquidity pool, which pairs to our token. So anytime that you essentially have people using that Hello Kitty character, it's feeding that token back into the ecosystem. All the revenue that's earned through that Hello Kitty is distributed to us, the ecosystem, and the actual IP holder itself, right? So to give you an actual real example, Pudgy Penguins. If you own a Pudgy Penguin, as of when we launched in, let's say, 2 months' time, to the entire collection, if you own that Pudgy Penguin, if you opt in with Kindred, you can enable essentially anybody in the world to adopt your Pudgy Penguin as their AI agent on their screen, right? If they spend money, right, so subscription costs or accessories, things like that, a portion of those fees will go directly to the IP holder, right? And so now you're essentially getting that financial utility from a Pudgy Penguin perspective, simply because you're allowing other people to experience the product, similar to Pudgy Penguins plushies, right, where they got licensed, and then any of the revenue, a portion of it goes to the actual holder itself.
This is a dumb question. Like, I honestly don't know the answer to this. Is Kindred out yet? Is KIN? Like, okay. So where are you at in that process with your native token?
We are heading towards our TG very soon. I don't have the liberty to say which exchanges we have lined up and are confirmed with in terms of launchpads, dexes, and sexes. But the TG is coming up very soon, within the next 6 months.
So yeah, it does sound like it reminds me of Virtuals a bit, because you've clearly been building for a long time, which I think they had too. Like, they clearly had when they caught fire. October, November, whenever that started. Like, that wasn't overnight. Like, that they had been building. So I'm hearing the same thing from you, and that's pretty evident here with what we've seen that you've been building for a long time. Definitely get the pairing with the liquidity pool piece. So you're saying, is every agent going to have its own token then? Is that like that?
I guess I shouldn't say, I guess, AI agent. It'd be a character collection, right? So, for example, Winnie the Pooh would be one, right, token model. To me, it's like the beauty of that system. It just allows for a deeper integration or ownership for people that are really die hard about the IP, right? It gives us validation when it comes to which IP to launch, right? So let's say we have a Winnie the Pooh, we can see massive traction when it comes to the token, and then we can put more resources into developing that further, right? But also for, let's say for you love Bugs Bunny, instead of just keeping the companion on your screen, and that is contributing to the ecosystem, now you can actually directly also help out Bugs Bunny as an IP by contributing not only functionally, right, with added benefits if you are a developer, but through the token as well.
How does the NFT fit into the ecosystem here?
So all the Kindred are NFTs. From a functional benefit perspective, they essentially allow us to save a lot of the, I guess, personality data and the metrics that are tracked within the user and companion experience to allow for that cross-device type scenario, right? Privacy is quite a big element of this entire flow. As you probably heard before, we want this AI to be integrated into so many different facets of your life. And so to use that decentralized approach, whilst also pairing that to the actual companion itself through the NFT, to me, it's the only way, right? Privacy is only as strong as its weakest link, right? And so with NFTs, it allows that smart contract to be binded to all of that data. And then from a philosophical perspective, and one of the main reasons I started using NFTs within this experience way back 2 years ago when we started experimenting, was simply the fact to represent authenticity and uniqueness, right? So your dog, right? If you have a dog or cat, it is one of one. There's nothing like it. You can't, in a sense, clone it. And even if you did manage to clone it, like you'd still know your one, the base one, is the real one. And so if we are genuinely going for a vision of digital life, something that is truly living and breathing, represented through characters combining with AI and blockchain, it needs to be one of one. It needs to represent itself as something that is truly scarce, right? That if it's gone and deleted, it is gone forever, right? And that sense of perishable nature to life, I think, gives it beauty.